So some not so great news to talk about today if you're a Shadow user or even just a fan of the service. So this week it has been confirmed that Shadow has filed for Chapter 11 protection in the US and bankruptcy proceedings in the EU. So today we're going to talk about what this means for you, a Shadow user, the cause, and why Shadow is kind of spinning this as a positive new beginning and not the end. So despite the time it's been around, Shadow is still a startup company. These are most commonly funded by investors. And since mid-2020, for an investment bank, Shadow has been unsuccessful in securing new investment. In turn, obviously, what everyone is aware of at this point, the current limitations on new hardware, which prevents them bringing on new users, and essentially prevents them from becoming profitable. In fact, we now know because of documentation released from 2CRSI, who host the server blades for Shadow, a little bit more about the current debt situation which they find themselves in. In this documentation, which I'll link to in the description down below, they state that they currently hold 30.2 million euros worth of hardware, which is utilized by Shadow, that's the server blades. Of that, there is currently an outstanding lease of 10.8 million euros worth of hardware and an outstanding debt of 3.7 million euros. There are a couple of other things mentioned in this document, which we'll come back to a little bit later. So most importantly, if you're a Shadow user, what exactly does this mean for you? Right now, pretty much nothing. Reassurances from Shadow are that the service will continue to operate, users will not be impacted by the current proceedings at all. Not only that, but further developments will continue to happen, as we've talked about previously in the 2021 roadmap, and there'll also be no impact to current Boost pre-order onboardings, but this entire situation does kind of put a hold on the further developments and further rollout of the Ultra and Infinite tiers in new data centers. I think it's important to call out at this point, like people thinking of cancelling their subscription, maybe just hold off. I saw in the Shadow live stream somebody commented and said the boat is sinking. Essentially what we're looking at is not the boat sinking, but them looking to get a new captain, I guess is my best analogy. Essentially, if you cancelled now and the service continues as normal and you wanted to get it back, you would end up back at that giant ass pre-order line. So yeah, for now, personal recommendation, I wouldn't really change anything until we know more information. So with all of that, what does this mean for Shadow going forward? So the bankruptcy filing essentially puts their company valuation at a big fat zero. While this does kind of suck for the existing shareholders, co-founders, people who had shares in the company, the valuation of those are now, nothing. What it does make it do is easy for an investor to come in and pick up the company. Essentially what they're doing is instead of buying a profitable company outright and paying money up front, they will take ownership of Shadow at that zero valuation, but they'll also take on all of their current outstanding debts. On this front, it's estimated that a transaction of this type is likely to be completed within the next couple of months, with Shadow stating they've actually already got some interested parties who are, quote, well-known industry players who have the resources, ambition, and vision to grow Shadow. Obviously, we have to call out the absolute worst case scenario here, which is they don't find a buyer, at which point Shadow, yes, does cease to exist. The server blades will be taken back by 2CRSI, and the service will no longer operate. Worst case scenario. However, like I said, on the live stream, they indicated that they've had, quote, very strong indications of interest from competent people. Not sure if that was an admittance of incompetency on their part, but those are the words they used. So that is literally everything we know at the moment. Obviously, there are still a lot of unknowns right now. I think one of the biggest ones, which they're not allowed to say because it's current legal proceedings, so they can't say who these interested parties are. Obviously, that's a big one. We want to see who would be coming in to take over ownership. They've described them as big players within the industry and competent. So that's all good news. But yeah, just interested to see who that would be. A couple of names thrown out during my live stream. We were talking HP, Epic Games. The list is endless. Obviously, with investment situations like this, there's always a potential that somebody completely unrelated to gaming, cloud computing, technology altogether could jump in as just an investment opportunity. But where they've described them as big players in the industry, I'm hoping that the people who are going to take ownership are actually something to do with this and not just an investment bank, somebody somewhere who doesn't care and isn't going to put that kind of passion behind it. That being said, obviously a new company coming in, they will be taking ownership. They will have control over things like the product vision. That again could have a direct impact on the users, whether that's specification changes. Do we think they'll still pursue the Ultra and Infinite tiers? Will they create brand new specifications? Obviously, the main thing for them, they're investing in this, so they want a return on that investment. Will we see a price change? Is probably one of the big questions. Are they in a shadow in a financially unstable situation right now because they're undercharging for the service? So is that one thing we might see? One of my biggest concerns right now, and I mentioned this on the live stream, is this current outstanding debt and lease of hardware to CRSI. So, as I stated, 3.7 million euros is currently owed to them. There was just a little bit of a disconnect between the language used on the Shadow News live stream and the language used in this document from 2CRSI. Again, I'll link to that down below. Just the question was asked, and Shadow stated that during this transaction proceeding, which can take a couple of months, the service will continue. 2CRSI will continue hosting the Shadow server blades despite not being paid and being owed a lot of money. Personally, I don't think the business world is quite that polite. 3.7 million in debt is quite a lot to just sit on for the next couple of months while you wait for an investor to come in, which again isn't 100% guaranteed. So some of the language used in that document from 2CRSI is a little bit more final, a little bit scarier than the way Shadow spun it. So one thing they've said, 2CRSI will initiate a claim procedure without delay in accordance with legal provisions in order to recover this equipment, which is still owned by the group. So that seems like words like without delay to the contrary of we'll sit and wait for 2 months while you look for an investor. So I don't know on that one. I don't know. So next week it looks like there will be a Shadow News as normal, so hopefully within that space of time we'll have more information on this. Of course, if I find out anything, I'll keep you updated here on the channel. But yeah, for now I'm just super interested to hear all of your thoughts on this. Is this something that you think should have been communicated sooner? Who do you think some of these potential big players in the industry who could invest might be? What impact do you think this will have on the service, whether it's specification, whether it's price? Maybe this will ultimately help. More funding from a competent investor could see higher availability. We wouldn't see these massive delays that we currently see at the moment. Yeah, any and all thoughts? Let's have this discussion in the comments down below. I don't think I'll say if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, because it's kind of a weird one. But if you found it helpful, leave a like, support the channel. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next video. Hope everyone's staying safe out there. And as always, I shall see you in the next one.